Hey, welcome to the In Between Podcast. This is your host, Jairo. Welcome to episode 10, dedicated to self care. Joining me for this conversation is my friend Anna. So let's get right to this conversation. It's going to be a good conversation. So let's get through it. Hey, Anna, welcome to the In Between Podcast. Thank you for being here.
What's up? Thanks, bro. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Something that you guys might not know about us is that we go back a little bit, a couple years. We shared a couple stages. I'm a big fan of your voice, of your singing. And for those that don't know, Anna has a great cover that just came out a couple days ago. So I want to hear her take on it. How the process on doing this cover.
Oh man, thanks, bro. Honestly, I'm actually a fan of your voice too, bro. So,
No.
but nah, man, I appreciate that. It's just it's been a journey when it comes to like my music, and I've been like on and off for like the past 3 4 years. So hopefully this time around, I'm like really trying to put myself out there. So, but yeah, it was really fun to do that. It was really fun. Shout out to my friend Oscar for that.
Yeah, and for the I'll link the I'll
Okay,
put a link at the subscription for the on the description on the YouTube channel
for
so
sure.
that people can follow you, can find your music, and find your page. And yeah, we shared a couple stages a couple years ago, and hopefully now that everything's opening up with COVID, maybe we can go back to that performing because that's the best thing. That's what we
I
were. That's our
know.
purpose. That's what we do. We're performers and we're worshipers.
COVID
But
just messed everything up. COVID just
yes,
messed everything up.
it really
So,
did. It really did. I had so much plans and so much travel to do last year, but it all just went, it all halted. But um, going into today's
same.
conversation, we are talking about self care. In the last episode, we talked about mental health awareness. We talked about depression and anxiety, and some of the things that we've done during the pandemic has been self care, and that looks a little
Hmm.
different to everybody. And so, I want to hear your take on what not mental health, but what self care looks like to you. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I feel that, and I had to truly like think about this, but I feel like for me, self care is just having emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Um, and when I say emotional intelligence, it's just like um just understanding what it is that you're needing, understanding what it is that you're not needing. I feel like a lot of us think that we're in need of something, whether if it's like physically, emotionally, spiritually, but in reality we don't need it. So it's just having that emotional intelligence, like trying to balance that out, and knowing exactly what you're needing. So overall for me, that's what self-care is.
Yeah, and when we try to define self care, a lot of people have said it's the taking care of yourself and having better health emotionally, physically, which with the
Mm,
pandemic it was a little weird and different. And I know a lot of people got creative, being at home. I know I suffered from anxiety at home. I had to get super creative with dealing with this. But
yeah.
how did music help you through the pandemic and all this chaos?
It's so crazy, bro, that well, I actually had got COVID in July last year. And it was really bad. And if I can be real with you, for like the beginning process of it, I actually wanted nothing to do with music.
Wow.
I wanted nothing to do with worship. Yeah, like I just entered in such like a sad state, like such like an anxious state, like my anxiety was through the roof. So there was actually a moment where I wanted nothing of that.
Yeah.
I wanted to just be alone in my room, being quarantined, just my thoughts, like period. Like it sounds so like depressing, but after a while, like I ended up realizing that as much as like I would push music away, like it would come back even stronger. So,
Hmm.
and not just music, but like worship as well. And
Yeah.
I remember like the first night or the second night, I don't remember. I had COVID and I was just laying in bed, and I remember just like crying, like praying to God, and just having like a moment of just like worshiping. So I feel that for me, music has had such a huge impact, especially during COVID and in quarantine. just because of my mental state, like my anxiety was just like through the roof, So it
I
was tough.
can I can totally
It was
relate.
tough, but we
Um,
overcame that.
yeah, I can totally relate to that because I had a COVID beginning the end of uh, December
Oh,
and the
that's
beginning of
right. You had
yeah,
it.
and then so my anxiety went through the roof because then
Yeah.
we were all taking care of my dad because he has diabetes, and we were like, mom and I got it, and we were like, we have to quarantine. I didn't go out of my room, and I went through the same exact thing. I wanted nothing to do with music. I didn't listen to music. I didn't write any poetry. I didn't write any stories. Nothing with anything that I
Mm-hmm.
like to do. None of my hobbies. I just wanted to be alone, and it was strange breaking out of that. I had good friends, which I'm sure you do as well, that were taking care of me, bringing food. One of my friends actually sent me BR goggles through Amazon so that I
Ah,
wouldn't be bored.
yeah.
And yeah, so
That's cool.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to that we had that same experience, and I think a lot of people go through that when they get to that point, and not just dealing with COVID. When we come to places where we experience battles or situations that are we really struggle with, we tend to go away from the things that we love to do. But like you said,
Yeah.
we come back stronger when we get back to it because man, I wrote so many good songs after what I think are good songs, and I wrote some good poetry after that, and it all has to do with clearing your head. So let's get back to
Oh
I
yeah.
added that little nugget because I just want to get your take on that. Going back to self care, there's a lot of areas that we could focus on, but let's start with this one. When it comes to physical self care, how did you manage that?
So physical self-care. So let me go back actually like a little bit back to like COVID, but when I had COVID, I actually lost like 12 pounds. Because I wasn't eating, like I lost my sense of taste, my sense of smell, like I didn't eat. I lost 12 pounds. And then after I started getting a little bit better, little by little, I gained it all back.
Oh yeah.
I gained it all back, and then so that's where it ties into like the physical self-care. But for me, physical self-care, my number one physical would be like skincare.
Mhm.
I'm really big on skincare. Like
I think I've actually
um
asked you for tips
you,
once. I think I sent you DMs because you were using some cleanser and I asked you because yes, you're big on when it comes to skin. Yeah.
I am. I really, really am. I'm really big on skincare. And then I forgot what I was gonna say with that. Care has been my main thing, and on top of skincare, it does have a lot to do with like I sound like a doctor right now, but just drinking water and like
Yeah. No.
just staying hydrated. I feel like that has a lot to do with also your skin, especially that we live in Vegas, we live in a desert. So physical and skincare, and then like piggybacking on those things, I would say like I'm also really big on like pedicures and like getting a massage and all that stuff. And then my final one is the gym.
Gym.
Yeah. So I used to be like really, really big on like in my fitness journey. I want to
Hmm.
say like two almost 3 years ago. I was really, really into it. And I lost like 30 pounds. I was like really, really into it. Um, but and I put the gym last because I wanted to add this to it as well. But when I was going to the gym like 2, 3 years ago, I was going for the wrong reasons. Um, I was going because in my mind, I had a deadline of like how I specifically wanted to look, right?
Yeah.
So I was going for the wrong reasons. Like I felt that I was going to the gym because I needed to look a certain way, and I was excluding how I was feeling instead of, I was putting more emphasis on how I needed to look instead of how I wanted to feel.
Mm.
Um, so for me, the gym is like it's one of those things where, like for me now, I go to the gym as a stress reliever.
Hmm.
Um, it's not really so much of like, okay, I need to go to the gym. I need to go to the gym because I need to look this way. Um, so for all the people out there that go to the gym, just make sure that your mind is right.
Yeah.
You know, because if you have it in mind of like, hey, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna get my body right, da da da, like it nothing starts if you don't have the good mindset for it, you know.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that for me would be all of that. Like the physical part of the self-care would be all of that.
And I think
But yeah,
backing on what you just said about the right reasons to going to the gym, we have a lot of influences from media, movies about looking a certain way. But I think, that's a good point that you made. You have to go for the right reasons. What are the right reasons for you as a person? Why you want to do this? Why you want to take on this challenge, right? Not because people are telling you to look this way or media's telling you to look this way. You have to look this way. It starts with what I want to
right.
achieve and where I'm going to be, not just looking better, but healthier, but good, mentally and physically and emotionally. And I think that's
For
huge.
sure. For sure. Like for example, like how old are you, bro?
27. 27.
27.
Yeah.
So I'm 29. I'm 29. I'm actually turning 30 this year. So I'm asking you this because it's like, okay, 5 to 10 years from now, like, um, how are you going to be physically,
Mhm.
like, and not just physically, but like mentally, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, you just have to think about these things now, because we're not getting any younger,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
we're not getting any younger. So these are things that we need to take care of now and honestly, like, change the mindset of like why we do those things.
Yeah. Um so
So
let's go to the next question. Um Being someone so busy like yourself, you got work, you're a leader, you're a mentor, you're a performer, a worshiper, and I see you all around the city, doing worship services and being involved in your church and with your community. Um, Having a busy life, and on top of that, you have work, and I'm sure you have your personal life as well. How do you manage emotional self care? How do you, put everything together in different boxes, and how does Anna manage that?
yeah, um, that's a really good question, and I have two parts to that. For me, family is everything for me. Family is really important. Um, just having the support of your family and just knowing that, hey, I have my family to lean on. Like for me, that's really important. That's just me. That's just like the nucleus of who I am.
Yeah.
So for me, how I manage that is, number one, obviously, like after God, but it's my family. I'm just really big on my family. And sorry, my sister is kind of singing in the background.
It's all good.
um, she's singing some Selena. We just finished the Selena series.
I haven't
So
seen it
good.
yet. I haven't seen it.
But
I heard it's really good.
oh, I was crying yesterday, bro. It was so good, so good. But we can talk about that another day.
I'll
But
put it on my list right now.
um,
Just make sure I watch it.
yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, like I just feel like my family to me is so important. And um, I feel that again after God and the Holy Spirit, I feel like my family fill up those empty spaces. You
Yeah.
know, they fill up those cracks. Like those
Mm-hmm.
cracks that we have. So they definitely do that. And then after my family, I would say my friends. Um, I feel like, and going back to emotional intelligence, I feel that one of the one of the ways that you're able to tell if you're emotional intelligent is if you're grounded,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just being emotionally grounded. And for me, God, my family, my friends, they really keep me grounded as well. Um, Now, when I say friends, it's not really like, okay, who's your circle?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not just of like, okay, like yeah, you have like 50, 100 friends. No, like who truly is your circle? Like
True.
who's in your corner, who's in your corner fighting for you, and not just fighting with you, but praying with you and all that stuff. So to me, all that is really important. Um, and honestly, bro, like even with my friends, like we don't even have to do anything, just being
Mm-hmm.
around each other and like venting with each other. I feel like that's super important, bro, because like if you look at Jesus in the Bible, Jesus was not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus wasn't alone. And same thing with Jesus, he didn't have this huge circle of people. He had his chosen 12, and I feel like that's really important, just to have that core, that tight circle of friends, you know,
And even
to
and even in
uplift
those
you. And
12, and even in those 12, he still had only three that he would really trust. You know.
that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I think that's now that you brought up friendship, I think that's one of the things now in society that's been ruined, um, because we call everyone friends, you know, or bro here, or
Yeah.
that's my guy, you know, and honestly, like that word friendship, kind of like the word love, has completely lost its value with society. Because you're friends with somebody now, and then the next day you like completely ghost that person, and you never hear from them again.
Yeah.
But then when we
Yeah.
I and I have the same concept of you as friends. Circle small, but is the type of friends that I don't have to tell them anything. They know, or I know.
Oh yeah.
And you don't
Mhm.
have to like completely tell them a message like all this is happening to me, but with a few lines they can, you know, determine like, oh, he's not okay. You know, and
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
that's I think that's what real friendship is all about, um, which
And you know
society
what?
has.
What's crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so crazy, bro. That's really good. And it's crazy that the older you get, it's the more that you understand that, like you truly
Yeah.
like the meaning of like, oh, okay, like dang, I'm calling everybody my friend, but like who in
Hmm.
fact truly is my friend,
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
Um, but yeah, definitely that. And honestly, to add to that, for me, I feel like what keeps me um how I manage my emotional state is worship music,
Mm.
honestly. And again, going back to what I was saying earlier, like when I was having COVID, I wanted like nothing to do with music and worship music. And it sounds really bad, but
Yeah,
that's just the reality of it.
yeah.
But after seeing, where God took me out of and the process that he took me out of with COVID, like it's like I longed for it more, you
Hmm.
know? So for me, one of my main things that I do is that I love to drive and just have worship music on.
Oh,
And to me, my car,
that's therapy. That is
yeah,
therapy.
it's therapy, bro, and it's free therapy.
It's free therapy. Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. To me, it's like it's it's therapy, and to me, my car is my sanctuary.
Hmm.
Um, to me, and that's that definitely has helped me. Definitely, it's again, especially with COVID and just having worship music on, and it's funny because like songs that you've been listening for so long like become so like real to you.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, that's what worship music does to me. So
That happened to me with oldies. Now that we bring them back from like I don't know 2000s. Let's say some old school Jesus Adrian Romero con Manos Vacías. You bring that
oof,
now, and it has a completely different meaning to what you're going through right now.
yeah,
Like
for
stuff like
sure.
that. And I wanted to add something to friends and emotions. When you have a small circle, I think one of the biggest problems is that we call everyone friends, and then especially with now social media and the exposure that people have, um, we feel the necessity of telling everybody our story. And I feel that's one of the
Mm,
places where I like that you said you're grounded, because we need to be grounded with our emotions. Not everybody needs to know what's going on in your life if they don't need to know,
yeah,
because not
that's good.
everyone
Hmm.
sees you for your well-being. Some people
Hmm.
might be out there just as spectators to see you fall, and then if you make the wrong decision to invite them into your that closeness where only true friends would understand what you're
Hmm.
going through. I think that's another way of
Yeah,
being emotionally healthy, is maybe not sharing with everybody what you're going through, because not everybody has
yeah,
the best out for you. And
yeah.
that comes
I
from learning. And one thing that I did a couple months ago was going to my Facebook, because that's the oldest social media that I have, and seeing all these friends that you know I had in high school that are no longer friends. They're just people that I know, people that I went to high school
Yeah,
with, which, thinking back then, I'm like, I would have never said that about that person. But it makes you realize, the older you get, the smaller the circle gets. And I think,
yeah.
we should all do that as an exercise to see where how far we've come with our privacy and the respect to our own emotions.
Definitely. And it's crazy, bro, because Especially us that we were born and raised in the gospel, and our environment has always been church and church people, and like, oh, I see hermano y hermana, you know. And um growing up, you just have this notion that yeah, you know, I am able to share like everything to everyone, you know. And again, going back to what I'm saying, like the older you get, you realize that, and it sounds messed up, but it's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And but not everyone deserves to know the deepness of you. Like not everyone
Mm-hmm.
deserves to know like the depth of what your thoughts are or what your feelings are. Like not everyone gets, not everyone deserves that, you know.
Yeah.
And I honestly say that because I had to learn the hard way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned the hard way that sometimes people just want to hear what you got going on because it benefits them,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And same thing, I've had to learn that the hard way. But you know, thankfully, you know, I thank God that, you know, I have my friends now, and that, you know, and they know who they are. I have my friends that they just, man, they're just there, and I don't even have to ask them like for them
Mm-hmm.
to pray. You know, they feed me, hallelujah. And then they give me, you know, like physically they gave me like a bed to sleep on, you know, stuff like that, little things like
Yeah.
that, where it's like, man, you know, I'm just so grateful for you know, to have friends like that.
I
So
I I went through a traumatic thing last year because my friends, my one of my close two of my closest best friends, moved from LA to Texas, and I haven't seen
mm,
them. And they're that type of friends where you can call them. I mean, sometimes I would just leave the city. I needed time for myself. Be like, hey, can I crash on your couch tonight? Drive out there, just chill, hang out. And even though they were in Cali, going to their house, being with them felt so much like they were close. But now they're in Texas. I'm like, oh, why did you leave?
yeah,
And I'm just waiting for COVID to, things to get better so I could go and see
yeah.
them. But
How far is Texas?
it's a
Like
drive.
driving to
Yeah, it's
drive
it's it's a
thing.
drive. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
drive. Believe me, I would have left already if it was closer. I would have left. And then I tried flying
Yeah.
out there, but the tickets just went through the roof since everything's opening up again.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay.
what Southwest wanted to charge me $800 for a round trip. I was like, oh,
How
no,
much?
no, 800 for a round trip.
800 for Texas?
Yeah, for Texas.
Dang.
I was like, I'm gonna wait a little longer. But no,
That's
it's good to
crazy.
have friends like that. And so anyone out there, I think to close this portion of the conversation is know your value, of your emotions. Know the value of your emotions. Give
Mm,
your emotions a price. Not anyone needs
yeah.
to know. Sometimes we give our
Yeah.
emotions like candy, just like it's free, whatever. No, know the value of your emotions. They are valuable. They're things that come from your
Yeah.
heart. They're part of your identity, and so we should keep
For
those close.
sure.
Um,
Yeah, and I just want to add,
yeah,
sorry, I know that you
no,
said that we were finishing that
go
segment,
ahead,
but
go ahead, go
I want
ahead.
to I want to add something to that. But I don't know if you can relate, maybe you can, I don't know, but I am such a huge deep feeler. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel really deep, and I'm a really like I'm a sensitive person. I can get emotional. Like I cry for every like little thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I've had to understand that, like, okay, that's who I am. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make me weak. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
a weak person because of that. That's actually, honestly, that's actually a strength,
Yeah.
you know. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you know, understanding that I am a deep feeler, but that doesn't mean that I have freedom to just allow people to understand
Mm-hmm.
um, how deep I feel, if that
Yeah.
makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
just
Yeah.
wanted to add to that for all my deep feelers out there. So
It's because not everyone's gonna get you. You know, uh,
yeah.
people that don't understand deep feelers are just like, oh, they're crybabies. No, you don't
Hmm.
understand the amount of pressure, not pressure, but the amount of just love that goes into what we feel. What happens is I'm the same way. I deep very I feel very deeply when it
Very
comes to
deep,
my
yeah.
friends or some stuff that I love to do. It's just and that comes because it's part of your identity. It's part of who you are. It's part of
Yeah.
the things that you like, and so you keep them value. You have to keep them as a treasure, and you have to protect those. And that's why I'm saying, don't just give out your emotions to people, to things,
Yeah.
just cuz. Sit.
Mhm.
It's time for us to, after, you know, Corona. It's time for us to sit back and really, think
Mhm.
what's worth it and what's not worth it. Who's worth it?
Oh
If
yeah.
we can say that in that sense, who's worth it, not worth it in our lives? Because there's a lot of people that bring really bad vibes into your life, and we keep calling them friends.
Say that.
And
Yeah.
it's those toxic friends that we kind of be like, you know what? I'm not gonna hate you. I'll applaud you for your success, but maybe I'll keep my distance from you for my own
Yeah.
well-being. And I think it's
For
okay to
sure.
say that because life is short, as COVID, taught us. Life is short, but we have to really take care of ourselves. Um,
Yeah.
so when it comes to self care, not a lot of people talk about this, but you brought this up to me. When it comes to your finances, a lot of people don't talk about self care in that regard. So when it comes to
Yeah.
finances, how does that look to Anna?
Um. So funny story. My mom. My mom is, and the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because my mom has inspired me in this topic. But my mom, and I don't know if this is going to be controversial. I don't know, but I'm just going to say it. Um,
Go ahead.
but my mom is really big on her tithes,
Hmm.
right? Like she has truly inspired me of like, hey, give God what is his,
Yeah.
you know, truly give God what is his. And I'm gonna be real with you. We're being real, right? But I honestly, that was a struggle for me for a while, you know, and something that I've told God, um, last year and this year is like, you know what, God, like bless me in my finances,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I don't, I it's so crazy to me that I've literally seen the hand of God in that aspect.
Yeah.
Um, so then that's the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because like for me self-care and the finances, it's just understanding what is yours and what
Mm-hmm.
is not yours,
Mm-hmm.
right? um so I wanted to just throw that out there. And then piggybacking on that, for me also self-care and finances is saving.
Mm. Okay.
Saving. This just became a finance class, bro.
Let's do it. This is the In Between podcast where we talk about anything and everything. So let's do it.
Right. Yeah, and I say these things because it's for just from personal experience, like I feel like saving is a way of self-care because it's like, okay, you know what? I care enough about me and my future that, I'm just gonna save, like put a little on the side and save that for the future, whatever happens. Um on the other side of that coin, also to me, self-care is also splurging.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of contradicting, but you just, as long as you do those things step by step, I feel like splurging should it's not a problem. I feel like self-care is just knowing what you deserve, and
Yeah.
I feel like splurging a little bit here and there is it's no problem at all. And my philosophy when it comes to splurging in yourself, literally this is my philosophy, is like, you know what? If you're able to get it and you're not gonna be in debt and you're not gonna be short on paying your bills, get it.
Yeah.
That's just my philosophy
I
when
am
it
the
comes to
worst.
that.
My
So
friends know that I'm the worst person when they come to me and ask, should I get it? Because I'm like, get it, do it, spend it. Because I think that way too. Life is short, but you
yeah,
can't just be like, I should get it. And if you're able to get it, get it. Be happy. Try something
exactly.
new. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, no, I think that self care in this area is important, and knowing especially the balance of doing that, of saving,
Yes.
splurging. People need to know the balance, And the first thing
Mhm.
is, the way I've come to think of it is, whenever you get a paycheck, think of, your bills. Obviously, your diezmo first.
Mhm.
Think of your bills
Mhm.
afterwards, and then what's ever left, you know, a percentage savings account. The rest, manage the food or whatever you got to manage, but keep a little bit to
Yeah.
spend. Enjoy your money. And I think I was telling someone this throughout the pandemic was, we were living from day in day out, just paycheck to paycheck, in a sense of we just wanted to work and have
Mm.
money, but we never really sat down and enjoyed the money that we had.
Mm.
and we were
Yeah.
just working and working and working, saving, and maybe we weren't even, I told this person, I'm like, when was the last time you took your family out to eat?
Dang.
And he was like, yo, you're right. Pandemic really stopped us and made us have family time. I'm like, yeah, because you were so busy with work and thinking of how many bills you have to pay and how much money you're supposed to save that you forgot that money is also to enjoy. So
Oh yeah,
know
for
the
sure.
balance, people. Know the balance of
Know the balance.
saving
And
and splurging.
this is my thing, bro. Like I feel that there's a lot of like taboo topics when it comes to Christian people and like within the church, and finances is one of them.
Yeah,
Let's be real. Like
yeah.
I mean, with all of this to say, like I don't want to give that vibe that I'm like, oh my God, I'm like an expert in finances, because I'm not. I really am not. It's just I've had to learn the hard way. You
Yeah.
know, like I truly had to learn the hard way. And there's this one time where my mom literally told me this, and I don't know if you've had those moments where you're like you literally snap out of it and you're like, oh shoot, this person's right.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember one time my mom was like, she was like, you know what? It's on you if you want your future generations to have, that financial curse, or
Mm.
And I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, hold on. Dang, I was like, dang, she's right, and I feel like a lot of us just, I feel like we lack knowledge when it comes to those things, and we look at things in the now,
Mm-hmm.
not focusing so much on the future. Like it can affect our future generations. So
I just
that's why I
think,
feel like,
and I've talked about this. It's when it comes to especially to topics like that, it's just the way that the church explains it to people. Um,
yeah,
Sometimes it's like a demand to do things instead of like, hey, we do this because we're grateful, and we forget that part.
yes,
And then it's just like demanding,
hmm,
demanding, demanding, but you forget the important part is to explain why you
exactly,
should do this. And
yeah.
I think you're gonna have to come back to another episode
Talk about that.
and talk about that taboos of the church, because I think that would be
Dude,
awesome. People need to hear this conversation. Um,
let's do it.
I'm serious. Let's do it, because there's a lot of things that, especially in finances, and I'm not an expert either on it, but it's all about learning and failing, and when you fail, you learn to do things better. So
Yeah, trial and error.
yeah,
That's all it
I
is about.
I
Yeah.
met someone at a camp once who this friend of mine was telling me, like, hey, you see that girl? I'm like, yeah, she's crazy saving. I'm like, what does she does? She's like, she has this envelopes, and so what she did was whenever she would do trips, so we went to this camp, and she was like, what she did was she would every time she got her paycheck, she would take money and be like, this is to pay my camp, this is for my food, this is for my gas, and then she had another envelope for, like, just in case we need a tow truck, we need money for that, and another one for emergencies. And she just had like envelopes, and she had like crazy, like she had a whole bunch of
Wow.
envelopes out, but she had money. And she was younger than
Yeah.
me, because I was like 26
Wow.
and she was like 19, and I was like, I need to learn that system of the envelopes. And I thought that was crazy, that she was thinking of every possible outcome, like what if we're stranded, what if we get a flat, what if the motor breaks, something, at least we got some money to get a tow truck. And I was like, because
Who is
I
this
don't think of
girl?
that.
Man, I need to talk to
Yeah. And I was like, I think of AAA if I get in trouble. and
her.
and,
State
and
Farm.
yeah, State Farm. And she was like, what if they can't get to you and you need to get something else and you don't have the money for it? And I was like,
Wow. That's
whoa.
crazy.
Yeah, no. So finances it's a very big topic, but and overall, people, know your balance when it comes to it. Know what you spend. Never spend more than you earn, for sure. And
Oh yeah, for sure.
whenever it comes to every now and then giving yourself a treat and treating yourself, treat yourself. Do it.
Treat
Do it.
yourself. Yeah.
Do it. Do you watch Parks and Recs, or have you ever seen it?
I don't. You know what? I tried getting into it.
Yeah.
I tried getting into it because my brother, he watched, one of my brothers watches it, and then
Yeah.
I tried. I think I watched like 4 or 5 shows, and I'm like, it's a little boring.
Oh no,
I couldn't get into it.
later the
Yeah.
first season's always I think in every show, first season's always a little iffy, but then there's there's
Yeah.
there's two characters, Donna and jeez, I just had his name, um, but they're always about treating yourselves, and they come up with like treat yourself, and it's funny, All right, so
That's cool.
we're coming to the last segment of this conversation. So let's finish this conversation with spiritually self care. How does that look to you?
Man, okay, so one of the things I feel that we need to understand, and again, I for myself had to understand, is that your spiritual life is about progression and not perfection, you know? Um, we have this idea that we need to be okay at all times. Um, but I come to the realization that being a Christian and being a follower of Jesus is just taking it a day at a time. You
Yeah.
know, it's progression. It's progression, not perfection. And I say that because even for myself, again, I was born and raised in the gospel. Um, I'm not a pastor. I'm not a PK, but I
Mm-hmm.
have uncles and aunts that are pastors, so I know what that is about. And I've that's all my life. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm.
So for a really long time, I had this idea that I needed to look perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I needed to look a certain way. I needed to say the right things. I needed to lift up my hands at the right time during worship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like little things like that, but you end up realizing that it's not about that. It's about progression day by day. So for me, spiritual self-care is it's in the little things, honestly. As simple as that. It's in the little things. It's in the okay, you know what? Let's have this devotional today and being consistent about it. I feel that in this season of my life, God is telling me that being consistent is important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because just being consistent truly shows your character. Um, so for me, I feel like being consistent in the little things is a form of spiritual self care. Um, and yeah, just understanding that, like, our Christian lives is an actual relationship with God, and as cliche as that sounds, but it's like literally an actual relationship with God. And a lot of us just, you know, mistaking that by, like, you know, I don't know, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of us just like try to equal that as like, okay, like, yeah, I go to church, like I
Mm-hmm.
have my ministry, I do this, I do that, but are you really close to God? Like, are you really,
Mm-hmm.
do you really have that intimacy with God? So I feel like a lot of those little things just add up to what spiritual self care is. Um, like I heard this the other day. It's like the sum is greater than its parts, you know? And I feel like that's what spiritual self care is, just in the little things. And in the little things, little by little, adds up to a greater picture,
Yeah.
you know?
Definitely. I
So,
like I like the way you put it, progression. And it's a progression every day, walking into that. And
hmm
I'm reminded of Paul. Paul says, I believe it's in Galatians, he says that we have to not Galatians, it's Ephesians, that we have to live according to the calling that we're given. And
yeah.
people in the church, people outside of the church always expect Christians to be perfect. And I heard someone
hmm
say this before: if Christians would act the way they preach, the world would be better. And not getting into religion, but I think that that is very that's a selfish thing to say, because let's say Buddhists, they have their mantras. Every other religion have their rules of what's or what it's like to what's a good person supposed to be like. And
hmm
if we all follow the things that we follow, right, that makes us a good person, we will all be better people. The thing is that
Yeah.
we're still human. And going back to what Paul said, is a progression. He says, be at the level of your calling. And I always tell people this: what Paul means by that is that today I'm fixing what I messed up yesterday, and what I messed up today
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fix it tomorrow. So i'm
Mm-hmm.
i'm going level by level every day, perfecting that person in me, right? That doesn't happen over time. And I'm sure you've gone through
Right.
this. Like, there's seasons where you're just super high up there. You feel like you just close your eyes and you're in heaven. And then there's days where you can't even get close to like the fire. You know, it just happens. It's part of being humans. There's times when we're up, there are
Mhm.
highs, and it happens in our spiritual lives. But the way that we progress is by today I'm gonna fix what I messed up yesterday, and tomorrow I'm gonna fix what I messed up today, and trying to be
Yeah.
better. That's the level. No one's gonna be perfect, and I think that's especially in the world that we live in now, where religion is huge. It's hard to tell people you're a Christian without being told you're a racist or homophobic or
Mhm.
a whole bunch of the things. Um, it's hard to come out and say that now because you get attacked or cancel culture or whatever, right? But
Yeah.
I think that if for those that are listening, because I know I have a lot of listeners that are listening to my podcast in academic reasons, and are probably going like, why the change in the podcast now? It's not academic anymore. No worries.
Right, right, right.
It's part of the lifestyle. This is our lifestyle. We're talking from our heart, from where we come from, but it's about being better yourself. I've
Yeah.
always told people this. I can't expect people to be better in society when I'm not putting my little grain of sand in being better,
Mm.
right? I look
Yeah,
at
for sure.
and we just sometimes just sit on a hill and be like on a hill of religion, thinking that our religion is better, per se, or that our way of doing things is better, and then we just sit on the top of the
Mhm.
hill and judge everyone else, when we should
Yeah.
go down that hill and help people be better themselves, right? In whatever
Yeah.
shape or form that might be, but we need to start with ourselves by getting off our high
Mhm.
horse and thinking that we're better than other people, um,
Yeah.
and just living.
And you know what's crazy, bro?
Yeah, go ahead.
To piggyback on that, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I know
No, no,
you were
no.
like
You're good. You're good.
you were flowing there. But I feel like that that also, the concept of like, the whole thing of like, I'm here to serve, not to be served.
Mm.
Um, I feel like a lot of times there's this like some sense of entitlement, you know,
Mhm.
like, oh, because like, yeah, I've been a Christian my entire life, or like I have this ministry, blah blah blah. But we have to understand that, and again, going back to Jesus and our lifestyle, like you just said, but
Mhm.
you have to understand that Jesus came to serve,
Yeah.
you know, and I feel like that I don't know, I just had to say that because like recently I've been having to battle that as well, and I'm gonna be real, I've had to battle that, where it's like, okay, like, man, I've given it my all to God and to the ministry. It's like, okay, when is it my turn to receive?
Yeah.
But I realized that in the serving, that's where you receive,
Mhm.
you know. And I've had to battle myself with that like really hard. I had to like auto examine myself. But yeah, man, it's just it's all in the serving. I feel that you get your reward and you receive what you're looking for in the serving.
Mhm.
So just wanted to add that quickly.
Especially going back to our lifestyles, we're both believers in Jesus and we're followers of Jesus. I've always my dad is a pastor and I'm a PK, so I know what
Hmm.
it feels, the pressure of what it's like to self care when it comes to spiritual, because all eyes are on you. You're expected to be perfect. You're expected to be this. You're expected
Yeah,
to be that. And going back
a
to
certain
that,
image.
a certain image, exactly. So I always tell people we need to leave that hill of entitlement that we've had, which is the hill of religion, whether it's Christianity, which Islam, whatever. There's always that group of people in that religion that are sitting on top of a hill, feeling entitled, always telling thinking they're better than others. And I think that's where we need to come back down and connect with real people and learn
Yeah,
about real people. And some of the things that especially with everything that's happening in our country, the divisions that are happening everywhere. I've always told people we need to step down from our high horse and
high horse.
talk to people. Actually, talk to
Hmm.
people. What's going on, what's the issue, how can I help, instead of
Yeah,
imposing your lifestyle on other people, right? And if there's a way that
yeah,
can be managed, then you manage it. But we need to come and serve, especially our communities, our
yeah,
countries, our states, our cities. And it starts with that,
for
but
sure.
it definitely starts with ourselves. Taking care of yourself spiritually.
Yeah,
um so I don't
definitely.
know if anything else you want to add to that.
Um, yeah, man. I mean, and again, just speaking like. from personal experience and just where God has me right now, I feel like God has me in a season of preparing myself, you
Mm-hmm.
know. He has me in a season of just preparing in every aspect, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, like physically, every aspect. I feel like God has me in a season of preparing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And in that season of preparing, that season of waiting, um, we need to serve, we need to worship.
Yeah.
That's honestly like all we get to do, And to finish what, going to spiritual self-care is that we need to understand that yes, there are highs and yes, there are lows. And he does need us in the highs and the lows.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the in between is so sweet
Oh
because
yeah.
God meets us in the in between, you
Yeah,
know.
definitely.
And that's something that I'm like learning for myself, and it's such a beautiful experience because it's like, man, it's like, okay, God, I know that you're there. I know that you're there. You're in the highs and the lows, but you're also in the in between. So
Yeah.
just wanted to finish that on the spiritual self care as well.
I think that's part of the what makes that journey beautiful. It's that
Hmm.
your humanness tells you like, oh, you're alone, but then that in betweenness comes and he comes with that tides, and he's just letting you know every single time
Yeah.
I'm still here. I never left.
Yep.
You know, so
Hmm.
thank you, Anna, for joining me in this conversation of self care. It was very
Yeah, bro.
awesome talking to you and conversating with you, and anyone out there that is gonna look at that podcast or listen to the podcast. I will leave a description where you can find Anna's music. Go support people. Let's do it. Let's
For
help each other
sure.
out. So till next time,
Yeah,
everybody.
man. And
Oh
honestly, bro, like,
yeah.
yeah.
No,
Sorry.
you're good. You're good.
Yeah, you're doing an amazing job. Just keep it going.
No,
Just
thank
wanted
you.
to say that.
Appreciate
I know
that.
it's hard. I know, I'm so sorry. I just interrupted you, but
No, you're good. You're
yeah,
good.
it's hard to keep something going like this. And I just wanted to say thank you, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for keeping me in mind, and just keep this going, bro.
No, thank you. That's what we do. We help each other out, and this is part of the podcast is bringing different people with different perspectives, different walks of life, and we can all learn from each other. So, no, thank you for making
For
the
sure.
time of being here today. Thank you, and so
Yeah, bro. Thank you.
thank you, everyone else. Stay safe. Like I always say, that's how I always end up my shows. Find a good deed to do to somebody. Be kind to each other. Be nice to each other. Spread love. See y'all soon. Peace.
Peace and love.